r/dph. Founded in April of 2014 and now home to over 83,000 members, r/dph is a subreddit centered around the drug diphenhydramine, more commonly known by its brand name, Benadryl. It's an over-the-counter antihistamine and sedative typically used to treat allergies, insomnia, colds, and nausea. At standard doses, which range from 25 to 50 milligrams, it's relatively safe, but users on this subreddit often push far beyond that, with some reporting doses of over 500 milligrams or more. Unlike LSD or mushrooms, diphenhydramine isn't a psychedelic, it's a deliriant. The hallucinations it causes aren't colorful or dreamlike. They're dark, gritty, and disturbingly real. Some users claim to speak with dead relatives, others see spiders crawling from the walls, and then there's the reoccurring figure known simply as the Hat Man. This subreddit's description reads, "This is a subreddit about DPH. It's mainly about the recreational use of DPH, but posts about using DPH as it was intended are welcome too. Suggested topics include experiences you've had with DPH and chemistry-related DPH stuff." As I browsed this subreddit, I met with posts that ask, "What is the weirdest hallucination you have ever gotten?" Underneath the post are a few comments. One from user Casper SMH reads, "I saw long, small spiders appearing out of my fingertips and nowhere else. It really freaked the hell out of me. The dose was 600 milligrams and I fell asleep a bit later." Another post from the same thread by user Child of Bodom reads, "When I was using my first 700 milligram dose, I had some really odd hallucinations. At one point I hallucinated myself walking across the street to the neighborhood pool and getting into an argument with some random lady. At some point during the argument, she took my phone away from me. I never found that phone, which is really strange considering I never actually left my house, and there was no woman arguing with me." Other posts on the subreddit ask for advice. How much should one take? Is it safe to use while drinking? And is there a perfect dose to fully enjoy DPH? But as you scroll down a little further, you will be met with posts like, "I got to quit." This post is quite harrowing and genuinely very sad, as it details someone discussing their struggle with addiction and how it's affected them and their loved ones. "I've been trying to kick this shit, and today I had a seizure in front of my parents. I've been caught before. I'm 18 and graduating high school soon. I feel terrible having my parents see me like that. I've been doing it weekly, and it was mainly Delsum when I noticed my tolerance was starting to rise. My first trip was insane. It intrigued me so much how cough syrup could make me so impaired, and the things I had seen and felt while I was under the influence of DXM. I've done DPH a couple times, mixed with it, just to induce hallucinations, but never DPH by itself. Yesterday I dosed 1200 milligrams of DXM and Poly, and on the afterglow, I was in the kitchen making myself something to eat. While I was speaking to my parents, I had a seizure in front of them. My mom was coming down the stairs, and it really freaked her out when she saw me like that. Seizures are something I've had before in my life that were not induced from DXM or DPH, so she was really scared. I let this fascination get out of control pretty quickly, and I feel like an idiot. Everything is just so loud and irritating. I wish I could just disassociate forever. And it's not that I want to die or I'm suicidal. I just can't take the shit that I have to take sometimes, you know? And these substances, they give me a warm hug. One that made me feel better in every way. And I honestly still believe that DXM is a great drug. It just needs respect that I can't give it. My mom talked to me about antidepressants, but I'm very precautious and scared about taking scripts, especially SSRIs, due to the way I've seen my mother struggle throughout her life while on them. I just need some guidance, some direction in my life right now. someone to speak to, an outlet, and I just don't have that. I'm deeply apologetic to those who love me and want to help. I'm just so uncomfortable in my own sober body. I'm sorry. This post reaches a bigger issue. It's more than just simple drug use. It's a way for those people to escape. Escape all the pain. Escape all the uncomfortability they feel within their own skin. They feel like drugs are their only outlet that they have. The only way to live a somewhat functional and normal life. Another post by Silva's Bug reads, "This is probably going to be my last post on r/DPH, other than to respond to replies. I'm still in the hospital for my last dose of 1.5 grams, and for anyone still concerned, I'll be here for a few more days. Either way, this is my reason for why I got into this drug. This is probably for self-confirmation, or something else, I don't know. Anyway, I've always been interested in drugs, specifically hallucinogenics, like LSD, salvia, mushrooms, and DMT. I always found the mind-altering substances really interesting, and I still do. I discovered DPH from YouTube on one of those stupid trip report videos, and it sounded scary, but it also piqued my interest because it altered the person's perception. I realized DPH was just Benadryl, and I had Benadryl at hand, so I took it. I started low, like really low, 3 pills, and of course I just fell asleep, but it quickly went out of control to 8, and I started to take 8 almost daily, and I realized it really wasn't healthy, and I probably shouldn't be doing it, so I attempted to quit. But I really wasn't able to stop for more than a day. So I took 15 to try to scare myself into submission, and that still didn't work. And the doses just got higher. 20, 25, 28. I scared myself, and I thought I would die multiple times. My family also quickly figured out I had been taking it, and it was probably for the best because that's the only reason I didn't die last night. But they couldn't stop me from being a dumbass and easily stealing some from the local dollar store after school, so I did. The pills in the bottle went down pretty quickly, mostly from flushing some pills to run out quicker and to try to force myself to quit, but that still didn't work. I really wanted to quit, so last night I took all of the pills, and instead of flushing them, because I thought it would be a waste, I took all of them at once. The ICU and ER are boring and cold, by the way. Anyway, I'm quitting DPH. I'm done chasing this demon. I think I'll just enjoy the real world without seeing shadow people and black dots. Though I'll still probably experience real psychedelics when my brain is fully developed. The moral of the story I've learned is, YouTube isn't a good influence for me, and DPH is a dangerous and apparently addictive drug. Don't do DPH. If you are, flush the pills and don't do what I did. Goodbye DPH, and good night. This subreddit stands as a testament to the dangers of drug use and how they can affect you or those around you. If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, please do not hesitate to reach out to someone. r/Voidmemes. Founded in July 2017 and with 6,000 members, r/Voidmemes is one of the smaller subreddits I've covered. But don't let its size fool you. What it lacks in numbers, it makes up for in unsettling content. As the name suggests, the subreddit is dedicated to void memes. But what exactly is a void meme? A void meme is a surreal, often disturbing type of meme that expresses feelings of emptiness, disassociation, nihilism, or existential dread. They're strange, disorienting, and sometimes feel like a glimpse into someone's mental collapse. The subreddit's description reads, "Welcome to r/Voidmemes, a place where we can all be in the void." On the surface, the subreddit seemed to be no different from any other small, edgy meme page that you could find anywhere, with posts like this one, which show the recently popular Italian meme, Trallalero Tralala, which is a shark with legs and blue shoes. The text next to the shark reads, "They're adapting. They're thriving. They can breathe. Not much else is known about this post or what it's even supposed to mean, but it's one of the many obscure and bizarre entries scattered across this subreddit. It straddles the line between an edgy meme and something genuinely unsettling. Most posts fall into that category. Not outright harmful, but they leave you with a strange sense of unease, like something is just off. However, the longer I stayed on the subreddit, the more I began to notice things that didn't feel like memes at all. One such post titled, "They Won't Find You," really stuck with me. The post reads as follows: "I will kill you, and here's how. I will stalk you, being very careful to avoid attention. I will then wait until you're in some type of shop, preferably a small town supermarket chain. At this time, I will be wearing a latex mask and attempting to change my mannerisms as I enter the store. Preferably this latex mask would be one resembling a family member of yours. I would wait for a while until you went to the bathroom. I would then enter, drugging you with a long-lasting poison and a sedation drug. I would wait for a while, and I would then leave through an employee exit, hopefully unnoticed. If I am noticed and have a disguise resembling your family member, I will describe your relevance to me and explain to the employee that you're sick and the car is at the back of the store, and this was the fastest way to get to the car. If I do not have a mask representative of a family member, I will claim to be one of your friends and use the same lie at the back of the store. I will carefully load you into the front passenger seat of my car, still keeping appearance that you are a sick friend or family member. We will drive for a while towards a larger town hospital or a city hospital. We're not actually going to the hospital. You would take a detour on the way to the hospital, down a dark alley. We would venture into the alley, and I would try my best to scout the area and look for witnesses. If anyone is there, we will head back towards the hospital, en route to another dark alley. Once I find a vacant dark alley, I will stop. I will then take your limp body and put it below the floorboards in the back seat of the car. We will then go towards the hospital some more, but then take a detour towards some kind of deep woods. After entering the woods, I will take all of your belongings, my disguise, and your corpse into the woods. I will be very careful as to not to leave footprints or any evidence of a trail. I may have to rearrange leaves and fix up natural areas on my way back, to ensure that any remaining evidence is eliminated. I will have a supply of bleach in the car, which I will use to wash the smell of the corpse off your body, making it easier to transport you without raising any suspicion. Additionally, the car will have a valid license plate, but it will not be in your name, which will make it more difficult for the police to track the car and connect it to you or your disappearance. Once we get to a lower valley, I will then proceed to burn your belongings and my disguise. I will then put the ashes in a Ziploc bag. I will leave your corpse there, covered in brush and leaves. I will then leave the forest and return in 3 days. By this time, police will be investigating a missing person. Naturally, the first suspects are your parents and siblings. The police will look through the city and ask witnesses the last time they saw you. The most recent testimony will be of you in a disguise, bringing them to the car. If your disguise is a family member, that family member will be immediately arrested and most likely tried for kidnapping and murder. The police, after questioning witnesses, will look towards the hospital and along the route you could have taken, never thinking you could have taken a detour and shuffled the body. After 3 days, I will return to the forest. I have waited 3 days for your body to decompose, just enough so your blood and other bodily fluids will start to clot. I will then chop your body into neat little pieces. I will dig a 7-foot hole in the middle of a thick brush. You will be placed at the bottom of the hole. I will then fill the hole with 4 feet of dirt. After completing that, I will bury a decaying animal corpse in the now 3-foot hole. After filling that hole, I will plant an endangered tree above both of you. The tree will be understandable for the local area, but still illegal to cut down. If the cops do get a warrant and proper authority to remove it, they will only find an animal corpse under the tree that has already been decaying for a while. I will then head back to my hometown and never speak of you again. Your family members will grieve your loss for a while, and then they will start to forget your face, your actions, your name, and eventually you entirely. You will become nothing but fertilizer to a plant. Eventually, even the police records of you will disappear as power outages and record corruption happen over the long period after your death. No one will remember you. There are no comments under this post. It just has 14 upvotes. I tried digging for more information but came up empty. Based on how it reads, if this is a real confession, it seems clear the person behind it isn't of sound mind. They refer to themselves in this weird third person multiple times, and the paragraphs are disjointed, lacking any real structure or coherence. Maybe it's nothing more than just a random post meant to grab attention, or maybe it's the ramblings of a deranged individual outlining their plan to murder someone. Most of the other memes, if you can even call them that, on this subreddit are just grainy videos with distorted audio, often overlaid with screams. It really makes you question the purpose of this page. Is it just a space for angsty users to post obscure, disturbing content as part of some twisted sense of humor? Or is it something more? Is there something hiding in plain sight? Something more malicious lurking beneath the surface? I'll leave that up to you to decide. r/Medizzy. Founded in January 2018 and boasting over 372,000 members, r/Medizzy is yet another medically focused subreddit. This one's centered around learning, curiosity, and the raw realities of the medical world. It covers everything from simple medical questions and study notes to rare conditions, and sometimes even the graphic aftermath of violent incidents like shootouts. The line between education and shock value here is razor thin. Scrolling through r/Medizzy can feel like rolling the dice. You never quite know what you'll see next. The subreddit's description reads, "This is a subreddit created for medical professionals who want to discuss amazing medical cases, watch useful medical videos, and share inspiring pictures, all about medicine." As soon as I load up the homepage, I'm hit with a barrage of bizarre medical conditions. The first one that caught my eye was onychographosis, a nail disorder. The post describes how the nail thickens, elongates, and curves dramatically, taking on a yellow-brown, opaque hue that resembles a ram's horn. While it's far from the most gruesome image you'll find on the subreddit, it's unsettling enough to kill your appetite. The next post I stumbled across was a 3D reconstruction of a man in his 50s, reportedly under the influence of cocaine. He had fallen onto the pedal of his bicycle. The result, a haunting image showing the bicycle pedal embedded into his left eye socket. How someone ends up in a situation like that is beyond me, but I can only imagine the amount of force it must have taken. Another post shows a man who attempted to take his own life with a small crossbow. The attempt fortunately failed, but it came at a cost. The patient lost an eye in the process. The arrow hadn't pierced the posterior orbital, which ultimately prevented it from reaching the brain and proved to be the difference between life and death. The image alone is jarring, but what really stuck with me was one of the comments beneath it. The comment reads, "My mother was a social worker who specialized in grief counseling before she began having mental health troubles of her own. She once told me about an older woman who came into her office one day. She was outside gardening when she heard a blast come from inside her home. A moment later, her husband came running outside, trying to scream, but the bottom half of his face was hanging off. The man had tried to kill himself using a rifle, but put the weapon under his jaw, tilted his head back, and only blew off his jaw and other lower facial structures. He died a few days later while in the ICU. I think about that woman often and how simply horrifying that must have been. I hope she was able to manage afterwards. Just imagine being outside, doing something you love, when suddenly you hear a loud bang, and then see your loved one come out with their entire lower jaw missing. The level of trauma and sheer terror is something I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. I truly hope she was able to get the help she needed and find a way to move forward with her life. This subreddit, much like r/medical gore, is packed with a wide range of content. Some educational, some gruesome, and others simply asking for advice. You never really know what you're going to get. It's a roulette of posts. I definitely don't recommend venturing into this subreddit unless you're prepared to see death and a lot of gore. r/Combatfootage. Founded in September of 2012 and with over 1.8 million active members, this subreddit offers a vast and unfiltered window into the chaos of war through raw combat footage. No matter the conflict or location, from well-known battles to obscure skirmishes, you can find pieces of it here. The most recent videos largely come from the war raging in the Ukraine, giving a chilling, real-time glimpse into a brutal front line. But the deeper you dig, the more you uncover. Footage from forgotten conflicts across the globe, each one telling its own grim story of violence and survival. It's a place where history's darkest moments play out pixel by pixel, and where the viewer becomes an unseen witness to the horrors of modern warfare. The subreddit's description reads, "A forum for combat footage and photos from historical to ongoing wars. Fair warning, if you decide to visit this subreddit, be prepared for the raw, unfiltered brutality of war. The content here is steeped in senseless violence and the sheer terror of the battlefield." As the forum description suggests, the subreddit is filled with footage from conflicts around the globe. One post in particular stands out. It shows a group of Russian soldiers walking around a piece of artillery equipment. They're calm, focused, each man performing his task with precision, completely unaware of the horror that's just seconds away. Then, without warning, the screen fills with gray smoke and a blinding fireball. The position is obliterated by what appears to be a Ukrainian drone strike. It's a chilling reminder of just how quickly things can turn on the battlefield. One quiet moment, and the next it's hell on earth. The next post is from Libya in the capital city of Tripoli. If you're unaware of the civil unrest in Libya, I'll give you a brief explanation. In early May 2025, Libya saw a major escalation in violence following the assassination of Abdel Ghani el-Kikli, leader of the Powerful Stability Support Apparatus, or SSA. He was killed in the ambush at the 444th Brigade's headquarters. His death sparked intense clashes between rival militias, particularly the 444th Brigade and the Special Deterrence Force, leading to multiple deaths and injuries. The fighting disrupted daily life, especially in the Abu Salim district, forcing school closures and raising alarms over civilian safety. The country's prime minister quickly responded by seizing SSA-controlled areas and reaffirming plans to dismantle irregular militias. Although a ceasefire was announced on May 14th, tensions remain high and sporadic violence continues. Adding to the unease, 58 unidentified bodies were recently discovered in a Tripoli hospital morgue, reportedly linked to the SSA, and it's prompted further investigations. This post in particular shows several men operating what appears to be an anti-aircraft gun while speeding down a street in Libya's capital city. The video is disturbing for multiple reasons. First, none of the men are wearing uniforms or any form of personal protective equipment. No helmets, no hearing protection, nothing. It's clear that they likely have no formal training on how to safely or effectively even operate this weapon. What makes this more unsettling is what it represents: the chaos of war, and how easily untrained, everyday people can be pulled into something far larger and far more horrifying. It's a raw glimpse into the reality of modern conflict, where the line between civilian and combatant is often tragically blurred. The next post comes from the Ukrainian front lines. It shows a Ukrainian sniper opening fire on a group of advancing Russian infantry. As the soldier moves through a sparsely wooded area, the sniper, well hidden in a concealed position, begins taking shots. The first few miss, but then one finds its mark, striking a soldier near the back of the formation. He drops instantly. The soldier ahead of him turns back, realizing his comrade has fallen. He attempts to zigzag to safety, but before he can make it far, another shot hits him square in the chest. He collapses near his fallen partner. The remaining troops scatter, fleeing deeper into the woods, desperately trying to escape the deadly precision of the sniper. It's shocking how much raw, unfiltered footage has emerged from the Eastern Front since the start of this war. This is the digital age of warfare, brutal, immediate, and painfully real. The last post I could stomach from this subreddit was footage of Syrian security forces launching an assault on an ISIS hideout in Aleppo, a city scarred by years of conflict in northern Syria. According to the intel, ISIS fighters were holed up inside a fortified compound, and what follows is a harrowing, real-time glimpse into urban warfare. The video begins with security forces cautiously advancing on the target, weapons raised, eyes scanning every window and corner. Then, all at once, chaos erupts. Gunfire cracks through the air, bullets whistle just overhead. The camera shakes as soldiers scramble for cover, shouting commands over the deafening noise of automatic weapons. It's close quarters, brutal and unrelenting. You can hear the tension in their voices, the raw adrenaline and fear as they push forward under fire. Bodies litter the ground throughout the footage, some clearly motionless and others still twitching in the dust. It's unclear whether they were friend or foe, but in that moment it doesn't seem to matter. This is the reality of combat, a desperate struggle between men who all believe they're fighting for something just. Right or wrong, good or evil, it's all blurred in the chaos. Watching it made something very clear: just how privileged I am to live in peace, to not know what it's like to fight for every step, to hear gunfire outside my home, or to wonder if I'll live through the day. War isn't glorious, it's a brutal, senseless hell, and for too many people, it's not just a video on a screen, it's their everyday life.